Yo, what's up guys? Sensus here. And today we're going to be taking a look at the upcoming rogue changes, overall PvP changes, class changes, and some general information for the new WoW expansion Legion. Starting off with class changes, Blizzard will be doing a major talent revision which will consist of fewer theme rows, more choices that matter, more spec specific talents, and hundreds of new talents. This will also consist of talents players will receive from the new PvP prestige system, which we'll talk about in just a moment. So it seems with Legion, Blizzard is trying to add a lot more variety when it comes to picking talents, instead of sticking with the old cookie cutter setup for every class and spec. It'll be interesting to see how this will be executed and translated into PvP once we get into the Legion beta. Now moving on to class halls, each class in the game will have their own specific location that strongly represents their class. For example, Rogues will be getting the Dalaran Sewers, Paladins will be getting Light's Hope Chapel, Demon Hunters will be getting Martyrdom, and so on. In my opinion, this is a very welcome addition, and will add a sort of camaraderie for players of each respective class. Now let's talk a bit about the new PvP Prestige system, also dubbed Honor System V3. It will be similar to Call of Duty's Prestige system, where you can get rewards represented as new PvP talents and cosmetic items. Players will be able to level up to 50 and then be given the option to Prestige, which will reset their rank back to 1, but will be rewarded with accolades such as portrait badges to show off their Prestige rank, mounts, PvP artifact variants, and other cosmetics. Now that brings us to our next topic, artifact weapons. Artifact weapons are spec-specific weapons, which will be given to every class by completing class-specific quests. There will be no weapon drops in Legion. Artifacts will increase in power through artifact power, which will unlock traits and relics, which can be socketed into the weapon. Now artifact power can be earned from a variety of different locations, including killing quest bosses, dungeon bosses, raid bosses, winning battlegrounds, winning arenas, and so on. Moving on to the rogue artifact weapons, assassination spec will be receiving Anguish and Sorrow. Combat, now called Outlaw, will be getting the Dreadblades, Fate, and Fortune. And Subtlety will be getting Fangs of the Devourer. Each spec's artifact weapon is also given a story to back it up. For assassinations, Anguish, and Sorrow, the Orc Warlock Gul'dan had these daggers made for his personal assassin Garona. The blades are said to drink blood and inflict traceless poison, leaving little sign of their grim work. The perfect tools for an assassin. She used them to carry out countless atrocities while under Gul'dan's control, including the murder of Stormwind's king Lane, whom she had befriended. Afterwards, in anguish, she asked a trusted ally, Meryl Winterstorm, to help her hide the blades away in the hope that they'd never be used again. For Outlaw, the Dreadblades, Fate, and Fortune. Shortly after the Cataclysm, Admiral Eliza Goreblade discovered a pair of ornately crafted cutlasses inside a recently unearthed wreck not far from Booty Bay. Though the origins of the blades are unclear, their power was not, as Eliza quickly made her name known pillaging countless ships across the Great Sea, none able to best her in combat. Rumors spread among pirates and sailors about the Dreadblades, the most common ones all agreeing that they are cursed and that if they should ever stop being fed new victims, they'll claim their owner instead. And for Subtlety, Fangs of the Devourer, Gormaw the Devourer, Sargeras' personal hound, claimed countless lives before it was eventually ambushed and killed on another world long ago. Following the hound's death, Mephistrov had its fangs crafted into two powerful daggers that still carried with them some of the potent withering essence that made Gormaw's bites so deadly. These daggers were passed to Akari, one of Sargeras' most deadly assassins, who wields them to this day. Now let's talk about the new hero class coming in Legion, Demon Hunters. It's been probably the most anticipated class to be added to the game since launch. Demon Hunters will have two specs available to them, Havoc and Vengeance. Havoc will be a melee DPS spec while Vengeance will be their tank spec. Their ability resource pool will be Fury, which will work similarly to a Warrior's Rage resource. They'll also only be able to wear cloth and leather armor. As for weapons, they'll be able to wield Warglaives, daggers, fist weapons, one-handed axes, one-handed maces, and one-handed swords. Only two races will be able to play Demon Hunter, Night Elves for Alliance and Blood Elves for Horde. Now let's take a look at some of the rogue specific changes. First off, as mentioned before, Combat Spec has been renamed to Outlaw Spec. Blizzard stated this was done due to the term Combat Rogues feeling very generic. This gives a new direction for the class fantasy, drawing inspiration from movies with different types of outlaws. We can also expect to see a column of pirate themed talents such as Cannonball Barrage and Grappling Hooks. Now I'm assuming this is going to work kind of like Shadow Step, but instead of stepping to your target, you'll instead grab onto them with your grappling hook and pull yourself in. Kind of like how Link in the Legend of Zelda series grabs onto something with his grappling hook and pulls himself in. So this talent alone sounds like it's going to be a very cool talent, and I'm really eager to see how it's going to look. Now let's move on to subtlety rogue changes. Shadow Dance will be a passive with a 20% chance to re-enter stealth that doesn't break from taking damage. It'll definitely be interesting to see how this change plays out, and leads me to ask, if Shadow Dance will be a passive, will we be seeing a new burst ability or two for subtlety spec? Only time will tell. Sub-rogues will also be getting a new ability called Shadow Strike, which will teleport them to a target and do ambush level damage. So this ability seems to work similarly to the Cloak and Dagger talent. And the last change to sub-rogues that we know of so far is they'll be removing the Honor Among Thieves passive. And finally, the last thing I wanted to touch on is Blizzard will be adding the ability to have 3 specs at once and 4 specs at once for druids, which will allow you to switch between specs without having to go to a class trainer. This is one of the main additions I'm looking forward to in Legion, and it's been a long time coming for something like this. But I want to know what you guys are looking forward to the most so far. Feel free to leave your responses down in the comments. I'm really eager to see what everyone else is looking forward to. Anyway, that pretty much does it for this video, guys. I'm going to be coming out with more and more Legion content as more and more stuff is released. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And of course, as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.